What's going on, growers? James Prigioni coming to you live from Jersey. Today, I want to share with you a simple trick that the pros use to grow huge basil plants all season long. Let's go! When it comes to gardening, one of my all-time favorite things to do is to share little bits of information or tips that anyone can use that make massive differences when it comes to their overall health and production of their garden. I remember when I first started gardening, I planted some of my first basil plants. They were small and they were puny and they really just didn't grow that well. I was wondering, what the heck am I doing wrong? And I was thinking, man, I'm gonna need a lot of basil plants if I wanna make my own pesto and things like that. Then I saw some other gardeners' basil plants, the size of them, how productive they were, and I was determined to find out the reason why I just wasn't getting big, healthy plants. Then after doing some research, I found out exactly what I was doing and realized it was so simple to fix. The reason my basil plants were so small and so puny was because I was allowing them to flower at such a young age, like this basil plant right here. When you allow this plant to flower at such a young age, it focuses all of its energy towards the production of flowers and seed, which is the opposite of what we want. We want the leaves when it comes to basil. When I found this out, it was super encouraging because I realized all I had to do was come out here and regularly prune the basil. When we prune the tops off the basil and remove those flowers, what we're doing is transferring that growth and energy back to the leaves and not towards the production of seed. Let me take you over to a basil plant, a nice big one that I've been pruning from the start, and show you just how to do it. In comparison, right here is a basil plant, and you can just see the overall size and difference of it. This is me sitting down next to it. It's like, almost as tall as me kneeling down. And what I did was continue to come out and top this basil anytime I started to see it flowering. So we'll notice right here on this top, it's starting to flower. So what you could do is you don't even need a pruner. You could just come out here and pop that top right off the basil. Not only does this encourage more leaf growth, but it does another added bonus thing. When you top that, it's going to encourage the lower nodes to continue to grow. So you go from one top, essentially, where the leaves unfold, to multiple tops. All of a sudden, this plant just grows and grows exponentially. So you get that added bonus. You can do the pruning with a scissor too. It makes it easy. If you want to harvest some of your own basil, just find one that's flowering, go down a little bit, and then just cut that top off, as much basil as you want, and you'll notice now we've got these two heads right here that will unfold and grow even more leaves. So that's the thing with pruning when it comes to basil plants or fruit trees or anything. It's odd because you think cutting away is actually taking away from the plant, but when it comes down to it, it's actually only just transferring the energy to a different stage of growth. In this case, the leaves. So it's kind of funny how nature does that and always amazes us. You think by removing, you're actually taking away, but in the long run, you're adding. Right here is a purple opal basil. I love this variety. The color is just absolutely stunning. And you'll notice, look how many tops and heads this thing has. When it started off, it was just one little small basil plant with one top, one head. But I've continually come through, just like I'm doing right here, and removed the flower heads. Just cut those right off. And look at that. Now we've got two heads coming out, not flowering. We're just gonna continue the production of leaves here. This is a huge part of it. One of my favorite things about this whole thing reminds me of a quote by Bill Mollison. And he said, yield is based on information. So when we really think about that, it's such an amazing thing. Sometimes we don't even have to add more plants or more space. We just have to learn more information, then apply that in order to increase our harvests. Such a unique thing and such a great way to get more out of the space that you actually have. The cool thing about this concept is that it applies to other plants too. Not all plants, but some. For instance, this cucumber right here. When it comes to cucumbers, we need to continually be picking these cucumbers so that they produce more. Again, transferring the energy from the production of just seeds to the production of more flowers and ultimately more cucumbers. Looks like Tuck's got his own cucumber he found back there. Tuck, you want a fresh one over here, boy? Looks like he's actually found his own. So this guy loves just digging up his own cucumbers or pulling them right off the vine himself. If you guys love seeing Tuck in the video, make sure you hit the like button. This guy looks like he didn't even pull it off the plant when he harvested it. I got another fresh one for him here. I'll snack on this one while he has this one. Maybe he'll try this variety. Want to try this one, boy? Yeah, this is a nice sweet variety. I love these ones. And he'll just sit and enjoy this. But again, this doesn't apply to all plants. So for instance, when it comes to things like pumpkins and even watermelons, you don't want to go out there and just harvest the pumpkins whenever they're starting to get a little big, because that pumpkin has to finish on the vine. It won't ripen off the vine. Same thing with watermelons. So again, this doesn't apply to all plants, but there are a number of plants that it does apply to. When you think about it a little more, you'll start to understand exactly what plants it applies to. The same thing goes with your green beans too. You want to make sure you're picking these green beans early and often so they continue the production of flowers and they continue the production of more beans. I love green beans too, and so does my little boy Tuck. And he even loves the peppers too. Earlier this morning, he was out here trying to grab some fresh peppers, ripping them right off the plant. Gardening doesn't have to be hard if we can equip ourselves with the necessary skills and information. We don't have to go out there and be busting our butts to get bigger harvests when we can just learn a little bit more, then find out how to apply that into the garden, and it could just make things more productive and just overall a lot more fun. Right here, I'm gonna grab some peppers real quick because Tuck loves eating these too. And you remember earlier in the season, we were harvesting some of the peppers when they were young and green to keep the production going. Now that it's later in the season, we want these peppers to be fully ripe. Here's the Criollo de Cocina. Man, I love the texture of that and everything. And I bet Tuck is gonna love the flavor of it. Me and him will split this and snack on this one. It's a nice juicy one, so I'm sure he's gonna love it. It's funny, I can't really grab anything from the garden without this guy coming over, sniffing it, and make sure he gets his little taste of it. Let me try a little bit too, see how it tastes. Very sweet, very good. Way better tasting than when they were green earlier in the season. But again, we harvested those to make sure that we get more and more peppers. Now we're making sure they're perfectly ripe. It makes me think of another thing that actually Bill Mollison talked about too. How we can get that larger yields just by switching things up and getting that more information, even just by switching the geometry of the way we're spacing things out, like the square foot gardening I did. I'm getting bigger harvests in smaller spaces just because of the way I have things arranged this year. Now, let me harvest a bunch of this basil because I want to make some pesto. What I like to do is just cut a lot of this out so that I can make pesto, and then I just freeze it in ice cube trays and then can use it throughout the whole winter season. But I'll prune a bunch of it now, allow it to grow back a little bit more, and then make sure I get a nice big harvest again before the frost comes. You'll notice the basil is just starting to slow down a little bit as the weather cools. And Tuck's going around stealing all of our peppers again. Right, boy? That's today's video, growers. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. I hope you apply this technique to some of your basils, especially next year. Earlier in the season is when to do it. I just want to make sure I give you this information so you can have it going into the season for next year. And again, this applies to other plants too. I've got my brassicas and stuff behind me that are starting to set up, and they're starting to hit their new stride now that the weather is changing. Just as that basil is starting to slow down is when the brassicas and all those things really start to excel. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share with your friends. Don't forget to check out the merch down low. And remember, whenever you're shopping on Amazon, start your shopping with our Amazon affiliate link. Doesn't cost you anything and helps us out just a little bit. Me and Tuck will catch you again real soon on another one. We